Hello, my name is Marcus, and I have a confession. Until approximately last week, I had never seen the original Lilo and Stitch that came out in 2002 from start to finish. I had seen bits and clips and pieces of the movie, pretty much enough to know the general story and to understand why Stitch is such a cult classic character. I had never actually sat down, popped some popcorn, and just watched the movie from beginning to end until the other day. I was quickly informed on why the character Stitch became such a cult classic so early. His whimsical charm, his shenanigans, and his diabolical nature was a whimsical experience to experience, definitely throughout the early 2000s. That brings us to 2025, this live action remake, Disney's favorite thing to do. So I'm here to tell you if the live action remake of Lilo and Stitch, does it really fit that same charm that the original had? Some bits and parts of it does. Other parts of it does not. It's some things that the masses are upset about that, I don't know, it's a little bit nitpicky in my opinion. And it's some things that I've seen that, it's some justifiable reasons why I kind of get why people are upset about this one. So let's dive right into it. So let's start out with the title character, Stitch himself. Chris Sanders resumes his role. He has been playing the role of Stitch for almost 20 years now, and he definitely does a brilliant job of recapturing the magic that made the character so popular in the first place. Tell you what, Disney really outdid themselves with the CGI hair. The Lion King, Mufasa, really upped the scale of what could be done from a Disney movie from a CGI level. And Stitch definitely seems to continue that trend. His movements throughout the movie really seemed very graceful. It really seemed like he could possibly be a part of the real world. It really did look that good. It was most certainly an improvement from the dwarfs from Snow White, so I'll definitely give it that at the very least. Sheesh. Mia Kiloha, the 8-year-old girl that portrays the title character Lilo, is such a phenomenal presence in this film. This is her first role in any motion picture, and she really does a phenomenal job. I have no complaints with her at all whatsoever. She did a phenomenal job capturing the spirit of Lilo for this film. You can really feel the chemistry between her and Stitch. I feel like they did a really good job of capturing the spirit of that from the original film, because without that relationship, that's where Lilo and Stitch begins and ends. If you don't have chemistry within that Lilo and Stitch relationship, the movie is not going to work at all. And I feel like they did a really good job of replicating that. So my goal here today is definitely not to rehash this 20-year-old story. We all know the core story of Lilo and Stitch. He escapes his planet who is trying to exile him. He meets Lilo, while his planet's inhabitants are trying to recapture him so they can send him into exile. He learns how to love. He forms his little family from Lilo and Nina. Speaking of Nina, who is portrayed by Sydney Agadon, does a really great job with her performance of this iconic character as well. Of course, they have been stricken by the most common Disney tragedy. They lost both of their parents, and I feel like both actresses, Lilo and Nina, portray a great job of representing that they have lost their parental figures in their lives, and they are trying to coexist with one another to move on with their lives. I feel like I said, both actresses do a phenomenal job of replicating this tragedy that has befallen their lives, and then adding the craziness that is Stitch. It definitely adds to the hijinks that is at the core, the soul of this movie for sure. Now, the first bit of controversy that a lot of people were having issue with, that throughout the entire duration of the movie, the CIA or the Child Protective Services are trying to reclaim custody of Lilo because they do not think that Nina is a fit parent. Portrayed, ironically, by the original voice actress of Nina from the movies, portrayed by Tia Carrere. I get it. It makes sense. But kind of funny, though, because my favorite character from the original movie was the CIA agent, Cobra Bubbles. And at first, I thought that he was going to be replaced with her. I was getting ready to cause an uproar. But he does make an appearance, even though it's kind of a less diminished role, if I'm being completely honest. So I was kind of weirded out by this change here. I mean, it's not a huge deal, but just definitely something worth noticing. He was my favorite character in the original movie, and they diminished his role in the remake, so it's like, man. And I guess it helps seeing the original so close to seeing the remake, because I feel like they went harder at Nina for trying to convince her that she was not fit to raise Lilo. I mean, I guess from a professional standpoint, the leaving her alone, not giving her a proper diet, her having her troubles in school. But then for like a personal standpoint, I mean, she's doing the best she can. She's still a kid herself. Cut her some slack. I don't know. I just feel like they were a little too hard on her. And then it just felt like they were manipulating her. I don't know. I wasn't really a fan of it. But, of course, it's a Disney movie, so it all ended up working out in the end anyways. Y'all know how this goes. Zach Galifianakis is Jumbo Jukuba? Another weird one. So, in the original, he went from, like, the main one trying to recapture Stitch, his creator, to being like the anti-hero, to helping him reclaim Lilo when she got kidnapped. And this one, he doesn't have that redeemable factor. He kind of stays being the bad guy throughout the entire duration of the movie. And within that notion, they had to cut Captain Ganty. Man, easily probably my other favorite character from the original movie, other than Cobra Bubbles. The Terminator couldn't make it into the movie. And to tell you what, I was happy to see that I was not the only one that was upset by this, but the producer or the director even came out and made a statement stating that it was just no way to bring him into the mix in this remake. I don't know if I accept that answer or not. I mean, I guess I really don't have a choice. We all have to accept it. But I can still complain about it, though, I guess. Like, man, come on. Now let's talk about Billy Magnesium as Pleakley, a hilarity that definitely ensued throughout the entire duration of the film. Pleakley definitely brought the laughs to my entire theater, just like he did in the original. But it would appear that a lot of people had some slight controversy with one particular scene when him and Pookie was going undercover, and Pleakley was dressed in drag, I guess. And in this one, they were just dressed as humans. It's kind of weird to me because Pleakley still had his same flamboyant personality that he had in the original film. Let me just come right out and say it. He does not like they made his sexuality a secret. He was still clearly gay. Is it okay to say that on YouTube? Guess we're going to see. But, a lot of people were upset that he wasn't dressed in drag like he was in the original. Honestly, I didn't even really notice it until I started seeing comments after I had seen both versions of the movie. I was fine with it. Didn't really bother me too much, period. David and Tutu. So David's performance here in the live action, pretty much spitting image of how he appeared in the original. I didn't have a problem with it whatsoever. However, the thing that kind of weirded me out a little bit, so, I'm assuming everybody has seen the movie. So at the end, when they're trying to figure out, because they want Nani to go to the marine biology school, but they need to figure out something to do with Lilo. And then David and Tutu, their next door neighbors, take responsibility for Lilo to keep the CIA and the Child Protective Services from putting her into foster care. So the thing that kind of weirds me out, before it got that drastic, shouldn't, Tutu and David, couldn't they have been like, hey, if you need to go to work, or if you need help with cooking, or if you need help with like anything, you're just 17, 18 years old. If you need help with Lilo, just bring her on over here so you can get done what you need to get done. Seemed like Tutu was a retired granny anyways. So it just very weirded me out like crazy just to see them take it to that extreme before they stepped up and be like, before she gets taken away, you can just leave her with us. I was like, is anybody else noticing this? Just me? Okay, cool. Not to mention during the climax of all this, when Bubbles was like making his monologue or whatever, and he's like, I'm here to help the American people, and that's by whatever means necessary. And then the entire rest of the cast is like, we are the American people. Almost making it seem like Hawaii is like within a separate country from America. And it's like, God, America is already stupid enough. Let's not add to the fire there, Disney. Jesus Christ. And then by far the biggest issue of the entire movie is having Nani leave Lilo to go and study marine biology, which I feel like the core foundation of the movie was her trying to convince the Child Protective Services that she was a suitable mother and could stay in Lilo's life. But then in this one here, even after fighting so hard, they have Lilo convince her to leave and go study marine biology. Okay, it's a little bit weird. It's almost like, okay, we all understand that the Lilo and Stitch relationship is the core foundation of the movie, but the Nani and Lilo relationship is like the icing on the cake, or like the ingredients. Like, it's the flour to the cake. You can't lose that, even though they figured out a way to give her a portal to visit whenever she wants. But I don't know, I feel like that takes away kind of the message of the original movie. Like, it's okay to leave your family, to go pursue your dreams, even though your parents died. That sucks. It's an extreme circumstance, but, it has to be stated. And one final point, call me crazy, but do they not have marine biology schools in Hawaii? Why does she need to travel all the way to California to get this education when Hawaii is just literally surrounded by ocean? Surely this education could be obtained at the University of Hawaii. Maybe I'm crazy. Okay, let's bring this thing back home here. Even with everything I just mentioned, the movie still has the original charm that the 2002 version had, especially when they come to the conclusion and Stitch is explaining to Madam here, I found my family. It's broken, but it's good. It's still good. Yeah. Still good. That one line right there kind of brings it back home for me for sure. No, was it perfect? Absolutely not. Was it the worst live action Disney movie I've ever seen? No, not even close. I still think that belongs to I'm not even going to mention it. But no, ultimately, I enjoyed the movie. I'm happy that it exists, and I'm happy that the character Stitch is still getting a spotlight in the Disney Corporation. I really am. I would definitely recommend that everybody go see this film for sure. But definitely let your kids see the original for sure. The original holds up well enough to where it still remains or holds its relevance in the grand scope of the Disney pantheon of movies for sure. The live action version is definitely good. It's not the best, but, it's when compared to the original version, I still think I hold my usual claim that the original Disney Renaissance movies from the 90s to the early 2000s still holds their charm over top of the majority of the live action Disney remakes. And we'll end it there. Okay. So if you enjoyed my take on this, you know what to do, hit that like button. If you have some thoughts, feel free to go ahead and comment those in the comment section below. I'd love to hear them. If you want to see more content just like this, you know what to do, hit that subscribe button. You can follow me at youtube.com/SmartTech79. I am also on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. As always, my friends, thank you guys for the support, and I will see y'all on the next one. I'll catch y'all later. Bye.